We've just launched a free on-demand workshop called Bandages, Form, Function, and Follow-Through. Whether you are experienced or new to clinical practice, this is a training session you won't want to miss. Hi, my name is Dr. Anne Sylvestre. I'm a board-certified veterinary surgeon with Focus and Flourish. In today's video, we're going to talk about follow-up and compliance. I know that sounds really boring, and yes, it is, but it is crucial and most important in avoiding bandage complications. So please, watch to the end. Let's start with what the owner needs to know. First, they absolutely have to make sure that bandage stays dry. So if there's any dew on the grass, maybe put a plastic bag over the bandage while the dog is outside. And just an extra consideration for male dogs that have a bandage on a forelimb. Some of them just seem to pee right on the bandage all the time. So maybe they should always have a booty when they go outside. There are commercially available booties. So if you are dealing with a patient that you know is going to be bandaged long term, maybe you got a big wound or you're dealing with a fractured limb and they're going to be splinted for about 8 weeks, you may want to send your client to a pet store where they can buy these booties. This one's made by Medipaw. There are other commercially available booties out there. They just make the job easier. And just remind clients that plastic bags, booties should be removed when the pet is back in the house because they will sweat from the toes and that will create a bit of condensation within the plastic bag if it's not removed. If the bandage does get wet, this needs to be stressed that they must come in because a wet bandage will lead to dermatitis and wounds. If a bandage gets wet, significantly wet, and is allowed to dry, it will often constrict, it will get tighter, and that can be a big problem for the patient's limb. Get your owners to check the bandage twice a day. They are looking for wetness, moisture in the bandage. They're looking for slippage. Maybe the splint inside the bandage has shifted. That is the kind of thing they're looking for. They're going to want to look and touch the bandage. They're also going to want to check the toes for swelling. The way they will determine if the toes are swelling is that there's going to be moisture between the toes and they're going to see that those two toes have separated out more than normal, just like the picture that you see to your right. If the bandage is new, they should check for swelling in the toes every 2 hours in that first day that they take their pet home with the new bandage. If everything's okay, then they can just check the toes, twice a day at the same time as they're checking the bandage. If there is moisture, slippage, swelling in the toes, they need to give you a call and or bring the pet in for a bandage change. I know there's a bit of repetition here, but these points are so important. The owners need to call and preferably come in if they notice that the bandage is smelly, if it has shifted, if it has slipped, if it's wet. Any of those issues, they shouldn't ignore them. They need to take action. Also, if the patient just shows a change in behavior, so they're chewing the bandage, but they didn't chew it before, they didn't chew the previous one. Maybe the dog's using the limb less. Maybe the dog is just less enthusiastic about everything. The energy level is down, a little depressed. Maybe the dog is panting and whining a lot. These can all be indications of pain, discomfort, and the dog should be brought in immediately. Note in the picture, this bandage that was removed from a dog, clearly the bandage has been chewed. This is not the patient's first bandage, but he chewed right through this one, and you can see there's a bit of discoloration in the bandage that's been removed, and he was in fact forming a decubital ulcer. As a summary, the client's duties are to keep that bandage dry, clean and dry, to check the bandage and the patient every day, and to call or bring the pet in if there are any concerns. It's important that they not let things slide. A bandage should be changed, at least checked, but most of the time changed on a weekly basis. Yes, I know that sounds frequent. Yes, I know that sounds expensive, and those things are real. However, the longer a bandage is on, the more the padding becomes compressed, the more there's going to be some small issues that are going to start to show up with the bandage as maybe it loosens, and the more complications are going to be missed. Change a bandage weekly. In the long run, it is a lot less expensive than allowing a bandage to get soft and become an irritant to the pet. Clearly, if there's a wound that's still very new, fresh, and weeping, you'll probably want to change the bandage more frequently than on a weekly basis. So do look at what is going on with your patients to decide exactly when the bandage should be changed. But weekly should be really your maximum. When removing the bandage, you first want to, 1, check the bandage. See, how did it hold up? Is it wet? Are there any issues with the bandage that could alert you to a problem deeper in? Then you want to have a thorough once over of that limb. And you're looking for wounds that could have been caused by the bandage, usually at the top end of the bandage. Sometimes the cling can show and actually cut the skin. So look for those. Look for signs of dermatitis, which would indicate to you that the bandage may have gotten wet. Not necessarily, but that could be that indicator. You also want to look for the beginning of decubital sores. And I say the beginning because if you're changing the bandage weekly, you shouldn't be getting to the point of a decubital sore yet, but you may see the telltale signs. So have a good look at those. And I have a whole lot of details of that in the workshop video. Just follow the link for that. And then finally, check the toes and have a look. Are we starting to get some of that interdigital dermatitis that we often see with the bandages? Is there a yeasty smell? Deal with that and make the appropriate changes, if necessary, to the bandage if you find any of these issues. Any issues that you have come across when examining the leg, you're going to want to address. So wounds will need to be treated. Dermatitis will need to be managed depending on how bad it is. You may or may not want to have the patient on antibiotics. So manage what you see. If you are seeing the beginnings of decubital sores, you're going to want to make sure there's a donut applied to that area. And really keep a close eye on interdigital dermatitis, especially if you have a bit of a yeasty kind of dog and you know they're going to be bandaged for a long time. Wash between the toes with soap. Make sure it's the interdigital space is thoroughly dried. You may want to clip the hair between the toes. Some people will apply some powder between the toes or a little bit of cotton to help prevent or slow down the occurrence of the interdigital dermatitis. Make sure you address that. And of course, make the appropriate changes to the bandage as deemed necessary. Client compliance is a big deal, well, with anything veterinary medicine, but especially with bandaging. So you really need to onboard your client to this treatment plan. Even though it's for their pet, you may need to talk them into it. So let's do a few things that's going to help keep them compliant. The first is to book the next appointment before they leave. It's a lot more difficult to call and cancel or postpone. They're more likely to just show up if that appointment is already booked. If they don't show up for the recheck appointment, be sure to document that. That is the patient that is getting set up for a ton of bandage complications. So call the client, inform them that they've missed their appointment. You need to reschedule it very soon, and document all of your communications with them. To onboard the client as part of the treatment plan, it's also important that they understand what's happening with the pet, with the bandage. So if there are issues, if there's dermatitis, if there's a decubital ulcer that's starting to form, take pictures, show them, let them see what's happening so that they are alert and aware and will do whatever they can to ensure that everything is going as smoothly as possible with the bandage. We found in our clinic that having a bandage package was a really good idea. So if we knew we were going to be applying a splinted bandage to a fracture of the radius ulna, for instance, we knew there were going to be bandage for maybe 6, 8, 10 weeks, depending on the age of the pet. So we would give them a price, and it's not a cheap price. Bandaging is not cheap, but it would be the price. And we were just going to work with that price. So we gave ourselves a bit of leeway, but that way, one, the owners know exactly what this is going to cost. Two, they don't have to stop and pay every time they leave the hospital. So we're not associating every appointment with pulling out the credit card. Also, if a problem does develop, they're more likely to just bring the pet in because it's all part of the package. They're not going to have to pay more or extra. It all fits in. So they're not going to maybe try and stretch the time of each bandage. Consider a bandaging package if you think that patient is going to require serial bandaging. It makes a big difference. In summary, the clinic's duties are to check and change that bandage on a weekly basis, to thoroughly check the bandage and the limb with each bandage removal and reapplication, to address any issues that may be potentially occurring underneath the bandage to prevent them from getting worse or from developing further, and to make sure that the client buys in, is on board with the bandage treatment that this pet is getting. So client re-education every time is very important. For more in-depth information on bandaging, follow the link below to access our free on-demand workshop called Bandaging: Form, Function, and Follow-Through. It's free.